Good evening and welcome to Sports Federation TV. My name's Alton Davids. I'll be your host for the show. As you know, the show is about what makes sport happen within the Western Cape, and we showcase a range of different codes of sport. We talk about hockey, we talk about drum majorettes, we talk about sailing, we talk about all 73 codes at different parts of the show every week. Tonight's show is a highlight for us. We talk about rock climbing, we talk deep sea angling, and we talk sailing. So we're moving into water, we're also doing a bit of land. And to start us off, Mr. Chris Naude, Vice President of Western Cape Rock Climbing, you well?
Hi Elton, yes, thank you, very well.
Good.
Glad to have the opportunity.
Rock climbing is foreign to most people in the Western Cape and South Africa for one. What is rock climbing? Let's start at the beginning.
Well, I think it shouldn't be foreign to people in the Western Cape particularly. We're surrounded by beautiful mountains, and I think it's a pity that we don't have more people taking part in this sport. The sport has various different disciplines. The question I commonly get asked is, yes, but it's not safe. And for me, that's quite a strange thing. Very few people get injured actually climbing the rock. The people that you hear about when they do get injured on the mountain, sadly, some of them these days are being attacked on the mountain.
Yes.
But it's generally in the walk-ins and things people fall, or they go running in the mountains and trip and hurt themselves. But rock climbing can be a really safe sport, so that we don't have that problem. We've got three different disciplines of rock climbing really that are very popular in the Western Cape. I'll start from the lowest ones. The bouldering is generally speaking very hard technical moves. It's not usually the first discipline that people get into because it's pretty hard moves, but it's very low, and you carry a mattress up with you, a bouldering pad, and you fall on those when you fall. You're falling from a couple of meters up, possibly 3-4 meters high, and landing on your feet on a mattress. So you're pretty safe there. Then the most commonly,
let's explore that for a bit. Where would one do this typically?
Cape Town is full of good bouldering spots. We've got areas right behind Cork Bay. We've got areas further south down the peninsula for bouldering. There's areas out in Du Kloof, which bouldering is regularly done. But I think the most important one is really in the Cedarburg, the Rocklands area, which is actually one of the top 5 bouldering destinations in the world.
Wow.
Well, depending on who you talk to, I guess. But it's certainly a destination area for international climbers to come and test themselves on our climbs. And there are thousands of documented routes, climbing routes up in Rocklands, and everybody tries to spend as much time as they can up in the winter season up in the Cedarburg.
And I mean, we've never heard of Rocklands. We've never heard that it's a world-renowned climbing area, number one, and it's right on our doorstep. You talk about routes. Is it clearly defined, as in pegs along the route, or how would one find these routes?
The bouldering,
because a guy like me would just look and say, oh, there's a rock, that's nice. There's no link, or is there a link?
It is a bit of a challenge, I have to say. There are guidebooks which will tell you how to get there and you know, to identify where the particular boulders are. My first few times up there, I spent a lot of time finding my way around and trying to find the rocks. First time around, they look pretty much the same as one another, and gradually you get used to identifying where they are, and you see the chalk marks from the chalk on the hands.
Yes.
So you can see the chalk on the boulders. But really, it's not really that critical. If you get to a boulder and you think this looks like a nice thing to climb and it feels good to you, then that's what you should be doing. Get on the rock and climb it.
Okay.
My son is now 14 years old, and we've just spent a week up in Rocklands, and he's been opening new routes because you can. You know, it's not a particular expertise that you need to have, or a qualification or anything else. If you can climb it and set up a fun route up a rock, then that's a new route and it's climbed.
So you have the bouldering, and then the next phase.
So that's the bouldering, and then the most commonly known one is the sport climbing, which you will see people where there are pre-bolted routes, higher routes. So those would be anything up to sort of 30 meters or so, with pre-bolted. You drill into the rock, put a stainless steel eye bolt in there, and then as you climb that route, you'll clip yourself with a rope onto the different onto these bolts, and your belayer who stands at the bottom will catch you if you do fall. So that's it's amazing to see even young kids. We've got them in the indoor climbing gyms, and we train them to do this belaying, and we have young kids catching their parents from falling, and it's something you do sometimes fall, and you just get caught, and it's fine.
And it's about the technique of the tension within that rope, I suppose.
It's all about technique, and if the children are very small, you might need to get a sandbag or something to weigh them down a bit, so that they don't go flying up too high when they catch the heavier person. But generally speaking, they show a surprising amount of a surprising ability to concentrate and not be lax about the safety aspects. So,
Chris, let's have a look at some footage of what outdoor climbing is all about. Let's check this out. If you're just into Sports Federation TV, this is the show where we talk about a range of different codes of sport. We're chatting to Chris Naude, the Vice President of Western Cape Rock Climbing.
Yep.
Have I got it
right? That's right. Western Cape Climbing.
Good. Chris, as we saw in that clip, that's, to my understanding, free climbing. Is there, am I right?
That was bouldering. That was in Rocklands, actually, that particular clip. And you'll see there that it requires a lot of finger strength. Hanging upside down on a roof with a few fingers is not for everybody.
Yes.
But not all of them are obviously upside in a roof like that. Some of them will go straight up. But nevertheless, the sport generally was originated by climbers practicing on a boulder to increase their strength.
Okay.
So the sport is sort of derived out of that and therefore become the hard moves. It's when you don't do that instead of sport climbing. Most sport climbers will do bouldering as well, and vice versa. So sometimes used as a training technique for strength for the sport climbers as well. So there you might have noticed the pads on the ground,
Yes.
and that was just in case one does fall. Free climbing really just means climbing without a top rope. So free climbing is commonly used to, not quite correctly, to indicate solo climbing, which is very dangerous, and I wouldn't advise people to get out easily and go and climb solo.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
But if you've got somebody, and you know, it's a sport that anybody can get into, and if you do have the ability to get out in the mountains with somebody who can show you the ropes, literally.
Excuse the pun.
Literally. It's the most fantastic sport to engage with the whole family,
Yes.
whether you're climbing or not. You can usually walk fairly easily to the base of the climb, and it's a good place to have a picnic and watch the kids climbing, or get involved in it yourself, and so on. And many of the climbs in the Western Cape are within a few minutes of 20-minute drive to a crag, to go and spend a lovely day out in the mountains enjoying yourself.
And we'll explore that in a minute. Let's take an ad break. We'll be right back with SportsFed TV. See you now. This is SportsFed TV coming to you on a Friday night on DSTV 263, and also repeated at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. You can also catch us on YouTube for each segment. We're chatting to Mr. Chris from the Rock Climbing Association of the Western Cape.
Yeah.
Chris, we've explored rock climbing in a general space. Tell me a bit about the equipment. I know you need special shoes, and you also need, do you use gloves? Don't you use gloves? Chalk? How does it work?
You can get started in rock climbing with a pair of shoes and a chalk bag, which is really the basics. There's obviously, like any sport these days, there's enough gear to spend your family inheritance on if you should choose to do so, but it's not necessary.
Yes.
A pair of shoes, they're not cheap. They would range from a little over 1,000 rand probably to 2,500, 3,000 rand if you're going for the top quality shoes. But for a beginner, 1,000 rand should see you quite happily with a pair of shoes, and a chalk bag is probably 60 rand, and you can go climbing.
Yeah.
The ropes and harnesses are usually easily shared with a friend who knows how to rock climb, which you probably shouldn't be doing if you don't have a friend who knows how to rock climb. So yeah, that's the sort of basic starting kit. If you're wanting a rope and a proper climbing rope, and I will stress that you do need to buy a proper climbing rope. It may look like any other ordinary rope, but people have been injured by using a piece of rope that they've gone down to the corner hardware store and got some cord which has different properties, and climbing rope is essential to use the proper gear.
Absolutely.
A climbing rope would set you back about 2,500 rand upward, depending on how much you want to spend. But that's all you need, really.
Absolutely. But having said that, Chris, I mean, if you're prepared to put your life on the line, excuse the pun, for this rope, you need to make sure that it's a decent rope and it's good for the job.
Oh, absolutely. And I would suggest that you go to a specialist climbing store to get that, not your local hardware store, where they may know or they may not know about the properties of rope and what have you. There's a tremendous amount of strain put on a rope if you do take a big fall, and you don't want to be caught short there. So that's the basic starters, and then one can spend as much as you like on it after that.
Yes.
Once you get into traditional climbing, and you're looking at all the cams and various odd things that you can use to secure yourself on big walls and things, as we've all seen, the Dawn wall has attracted a lot of attention. That's not the sort of thing you're going to be getting into in the first couple of years of your climbing and what have you. But for sport climbing in our local on our local crags, a pair of shoes, chalk bag, and a harness and rope is literally all you need.
Yeah. Let's shift gear a bit. Often people don't have the time to go out into the crags and drive an hour to Cork Bay, as an example. There are indoor gyms with walls. Tell us a bit about that.
There are a couple of indoor gyms. We've had one in Cape Town in Observatory for some years now, and it's gaining popularity. It's really crowded. On any given evening at City Rock is pretty crowded now. A couple of new gyms have opened up in Pinelands, Hangtime Gym in Pinelands, and one in Belleville. And there's another climbing gym in Stellenbosch. So there are a couple around, and certainly for the weekday climbing, it's a hugely popular sport now, or becoming more popular, shall I say. And it was recently voted in America as the sexiest sport in the world. So
and that it is, because you often find these guys with these little tight vests and the shorts, and they're quite ripped, for want of a better term, because they're not big people physically.
I think I should just sit up a little there.
But their muscle strength exudes, and you can see the strength when they're grabbing onto these rocks, which is a great sight to see. And I mean, you see all of that all over the show.
It's an amazingly healthy sport
Yes.
from that perspective, because it does exercise your entire body. Your core strength becomes fantastic, and they really do get, as you say, ripped.
Yep.
That's why it's quite popular, and it's becoming more popular as a general form of exercise. Even people that are not specifically into rock climbing and may never go outdoors,
Yes.
Many of them use the climbing gym as a form of fun exercise, which is possibly to some a little less boring than a treadmill and the weights
Yes.
in a standard gym.
Let's have a look and see what indoor climbing is all about. Check this out. As you can see, it's good for upper body strength and for free falling. Chris, the national champs is happening on our doorstep. Tell us a bit about it.
Yes, the National Bouldering Championships are happening now at City Rock in 2 weeks' time, 16th and 17th of April at City Rock in Observatory. And there we'll see the country's best bouldering talent, doing it indoors, obviously, on those artificial
Yes.
walls as we've just seen there. That was sport climbing, but we'll have the bouldering championships here then. So, yeah. Anybody who's keen to get involved, feel free to contact us and come and have a look and see whether it looks interesting to you.
How did give us some contact details? Do you have a Facebook page? How do people find out more?
Western Cape Climbing, Facebook. I can't remember how those things work.
Yes.
So it's Western Cape Climbing, info@Western Cape Climbing. If you do have any questions that you'd like to ask, or if you'd like to be put in touch with coaches or anything like that, please, it would be a great pleasure to assist there.
Chris and dear, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming to chat to us about rock climbing. We'll definitely come try it out sometime.
Thank you very much. You're most welcome. It'd be
Good.
great to
We've come to the end of our first segment of rock climbing. This is the show brought to you by the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation. We'll take an ad break, and when we'll come back, we'll chat sailing. See you now.